Welcome to part 2 of the antibiotic resistance explanation. In this video, we will be briefly taking a look at the modes of action for antibiotics, and then the antibiotic resistance mechanisms. First, I will give a brief overview of the modes of action for antibiotics. This is your basic bacteriome. The first mechanism is to break the fragile cell wall, inhibiting its synthesis and kill the bacteria. Antibiotics such as penicillin use this mechanism. Another mechanism is to inhibit DNA synthesis. Antibiotics such as quinolones can inhibit this process, causing DNA to not be replicated any longer. Other classes of antibiotics can inhibit protein synthesis. For example, tetracycline is a drug that can bind to a site in the ribosomes, called the 30S ribosomal subunit. This can block protein synthesis and will kill the bacteria. Another mechanism is to inhibit folic acid metabolism. There is an acid called a PABA, which is a precursor to folic acid and essential acid for the bacteria to survive. However, antibiotics such as sulfa drugs can stop this transformation. Now let's move on to the mechanisms for antibiotic resistance. Bacteria have now evolved, revolutionizing its way of survival with different mechanisms. The first mechanism is to modify or inactivate the antibiotic molecule. A good example of this would be beta-lactamases, found in bacteria such as E. coli. They are able to destroy the structure of beta-lactam rings, a vital part of many antibiotics such as penicillin. Another way is to reduce antibiotic penetration. Quinolone-resistant bacteria can reduce drug accumulation, decreasing the permeability in the cell membrane. They can also create an efflux pump. When antibiotics such as tetracycline attacks the cell, bacteria can use the efflux pump to pump out the antibiotic. The mechanism is to alter the antibiotic binding target. For instance, penicillin produces penicillin-binding proteins, which attack protein synthesis. But if the bacteria has genes to modify the structure of these proteins, penicillin is unable to target its binding site. Those are the three main mechanisms for resistance. This concludes part 2 of the antibiotic resistance explanation about mechanisms. Thank you for watching and listening, and hopefully you got something out of this.